No African man should say spirits don't exist. This is one of the hardest things for many people to grasp, especially here in Africa. Why is it so hard to grasp that spirit beings don't exist? And I think it's because of the way we were brainwashed as children. This is what we were taught. And then, but let me ask you a question. Of everybody that has ever told you about spirits, have they ever shown you one? You never take your eyes, see spirit, and you verify that it's a spirit. No. They just tell you stories and stories upon stories about spirits. They just make claims that this one is a spirit, this one, a spirit came to me, a spirit can do this. They describe the whole process of spiritism. But when you finally ask them, show us one, let us see, they will not show. Many people that even claim they've seen spirits, it's always some sort of apparition, that something appeared in their bathroom, something appeared like this. Oh yeah, now show us that thing. Why can't you use your camera to record it? If you can't capture it with your camera, that means it's not real. It's happening in your mind. Psychosis, hearing voices. It's a mental illness if you're hearing voices when nobody's talking to you, or seeing things that don't exist in real life. You're supposed to be bound in chains until you recover your mind mentally. So why is it that for thousands of years nobody has been able to capture a spirit? Now we have iPhones, cameras, phones everywhere. Nobody's able to capture it. But somehow you believe that they are real, and then nobody should ever tell you that they are not real. If they are real, where is it? Can you demonstrate it? Let's say we can't see it. For instance, we can't see oxygen, right? We can't see air. But we can demonstrate, we can measure it. We can use it to do things. So we have equipment for measuring it. If you did science in school, you know that there's something called wind gauge. This is something that if you mount it, it will start turning based on the direction the wind is flowing. Then it can measure the velocity and the direction of the wind. So we can use it to prove that. We can make water from air as proof that we understand what air is and it exists. We make water and we can see water. Do you understand? We have, from our understanding of air, we've built airplanes, we've built cars, aerodynamics. There's an entire study on projectiles and aerodynamics about how things move in air. But when it comes to spirit, nothing has been invented from spirit or spirit. You can't there's no exercise to demonstrate it. The only guy that wants to try to prove it, he used to be a doctor about 150 years ago. What he did was, when people are in the hospital, when people are really sick and are dying, he will measure their body weight. They will put them on a large scale, measure their body weight. When they finally give up the ghost, he will measure their body weight again. And he noticed that when people die, their body weight decreases a little. Very little, 0 point something kg. And after he did it for like 6 patients, he concluded that yes, 100% of the time, when people die, their body weight decreases. Therefore, it's like something has left their body. It wasn't long after he published that scientists countered him and repeated the experiment and countered him, that when people die, the air in their lungs empty out, and the what do you call it now? The percentage of the size of weight loss on death is matching that air. And if you leave the person for a while, the person will even lose more weight. I don't want to go deep into that, but you get what I'm saying. So there's no experiment to prove spirits. You just believe so much in spirits because the moment they gave birth to you, they started telling you all the spirit stories. This is Africa. We believe so much in voodoo, spiritism, projecting this, that. Somebody even came to the comments and asked whether I'm a herbalist. I told the person I'll project juju to you. The guy was rebuking it. Do you understand? So, but we believe so much in all the spirit thing. And do you know how many families this belief has scattered? Because if you go to meet a spiritualist, they will tell you the source of all your problems is your brother. Now you're fighting your brother. The only person you have in this life, you're fighting your brother. And that when you're fighting your brother, the fight is always bitter and bloody. You get? Now, because you're fighting your brother, your children will not associate with their children. And their children are usually the best, closest allies your children will ever have. That's the closest family. But they cannot relate because you started fighting. Why? Because you went to consult a spiritualist that did some divination to point to your brother or your sister or your mother. Once you come to that mentality that spirits don't exist, you will see that the way you see life entirely will change. Most things you thought they are mysterious, all of a sudden they are no longer mysterious. So that you being an African doesn't mean you should believe in things that you can't prove. Now, the whole thing about faith is different. When you have faith in something, you know you can't prove it. The only reason you believe things is when you don't have proof. You don't believe that your mother is your mother. You know that your mother is your mother. Because what? You've seen sufficient evidence. Number one, you look like her. Number two, there's birth certificate from a trusted government hospital. Number three, you can do DNA test to confirm. Number four, a lot of things. There are family members that witnessed the birth. By the time you put together all the evidence, you can say with 99%, 100% accuracy that this person is your mother. It's not a belief system. You know it. And anytime you're asked, you provide the evidence. The only time you have to believe that something exists is when you don't have any evidence at all and you are in doubt. But you have chosen that this is how you want to see the world. So if you really believe that spirits exist, it's because you don't have evidence, but you have chosen that this is how I want to believe that the world works, which there's no problem. If you want to believe that there is a woman cooking on the moon. When we were little, they used to tell us that there's a woman pounding mortar on the moon because there's a shape on the moon, shadow on the moon that looks like that. Now we know it's a lie because what? Somebody went to verify, buy a telescope, look at the moon actually and verify. Some people even went there, according to what they told us, that they landed on the moon. Do you understand? So the other one is gone. But believe you me, if you go to some places, some people still believe that there's a woman on the moon. So once it comes to belief system, it's a personal thing. You don't use it to create arguments because once you're told to provide proof, all your argument will collapse. Like now, if I tell you to provide me 2 hot spirits with big nyash that I need, you will not be able to provide it. And this is a big fundamental problem with Africa for years. While the Western world was developing weapons, weapons or advanced weapons of warfare like guns, machine guns, they were developing a clocking system, timing system. They were developing navigation system to navigate the ocean, the vast oceans of the world. Our ancestors in some parts of Africa, not all, some parts of Africa were so much focused on trying to gain spiritual power. Now time has proven that spiritual power is nothing because spirits don't exist. So the whole sacrificing to a tree, worshipping, doing all this cultural sacrificial practice, it was a waste of time for centuries. By the time we met people that use physics and biology and chemistry, we lost. Do you understand? By the time invaders arrive at your territory, it's already too late because they have crossed oceans to arrive. That means their technology is far ahead to arrive. Can you believe that in 1860s, 1870s, they already have skyscrapers? Some of the buildings in UK today were built 120, 130 years ago. When they came here, and yes, of course, we have some empires, powerful empires, right? But then some of our tribes and towns were so backward that they're still living in thatch roof. They don't even know how to stack buildings up. Do you know when Mali was mining gold? Talking about 300, 400 years ago, they were already mining gold. There are some parts of Africa that don't mine nothing. They believe in worshipping idol, worshipping all these things. So if we as modern Africans with smartphones, with internet, with all these things, we still believe in some of these things that impoverished our ancestors, we're bigger disappointment than some of them. Do you understand? We need to look at what they did, take the best ones, and shelve the ones that they were wrong in, because what? They were lacking knowledge. So now we have the knowledge. We have to reconstruct our culture. Which one is spirit? Send me 2 spirits as evidence. I'll give you 1 million naira. Straight up.